So I saw this comment today, a little while ago, a few minutes ago, that said,
Hmm.
I think it said like PS5 will forever be known as the console of remasters.
I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
And State of Play September 2024. Today's what, September 24th? Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um
What's your immediate hot take, reaction to, because we got some good stuff and we got, some stuff that probably made people roll their eyes and think that they should stop doing these presentations. So what do you think of all of it?
I think it's one of those we might have seen these before where it's a lot of just mediocre stuff and that one final big announcement. I think the presentation that had the Portal announcement was one of those where it was not much announced that was exciting, and then the Portal was supposed to be their big major announcement with Jim asshole Ryan at the end of it, but that wasn't really a big finale. There was one that I think the one that when they showed Spider-Man 2's bigger presentation or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't remember that state of play being as memorable, just except for the Spider-Man part.
Yeah, it was
But
pretty much just Spider-Man.
there's some stuff here that I'm a bit interested in, like the Metro VR game, but and the big one that we'll save for later. But other than that, nothing here stood out to me that I'm like, oh, I can't wait, oh my God, excited. A couple of head scratches. But where do you want to start with this?
I mean, I feel like we should just start with the only thing that I guess most people are gonna take away from that, which is we should just start with the best part, which was the Ghost of Tsushima uh sort
Sequel?
of sequel, although it's not really a sequel. I was reading that they want to turn this into a bigger universe, which almost kind of sounds like what we were promised with The Last of Us originally, where they were like, "Oh, we're gonna follow different characters."
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, just kidding, it's just gonna be these two for into the next 15 years.
Right.
So this is not really a sequel so much as it is a
Spinoff.
second game in the franchise.
Ghost of Yotei, Yotel.
Yeah,
Can't
Yotei, I believe,
Yotei.
but we're probably saying it wrong, and
Yeah. And people like Mighty Keith forgot the I or the L, the I at the end of it. So, but I think the state said this one is about 300 years after the events of the first game.
yes.
Um, so I'll say this because the very first time I saw Ghost of Tsushima presentation, it was like an E3 or whatever. It didn't click in my head that it was Sucker Punch, the guys who made Infamous.
Hmm.
And at the time, I was like, who the hell cares? You're a samurai. You have this empty world. I don't give a crap. I could not have been more wrong at that point because that game is so amazing and I haven't beaten it, but I do want to go back and beat it. Um, and this gives me more reason to go back and beat it. But I was so wrong in how the first game was. But I am also a bit concerned about are they going to follow these other developers or studios, whatever you want to call it, where they only focus on their one franchise? Naughty Dog is now focusing just on Last of Us. They could tell you they're working on something else, but they're not.
Hmm.
There's another one. What's the other company? Guerrilla Games, they're working on just Horizon and nothing else. Ghost is getting a movie at some point. So I don't want them to focus on just one thing, and I think they have the resources to get a second, studio to work on something on the side, like another Infamous or some other new IP. Just like
Hmm.
Insomniac has multiple teams who works on different projects. There was a different team who worked on Wolverine compared to Spider-Man. There's a different team that works on Ratchet and Clank. So I want to see that with these other developers to get more than just Last of Us 3 and Ghost 3 and whatever.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm not excited for the game. I'm very excited to see what they do differently here, especially when I thought Rise of the Ronin would be a similar experience to Ghost, but with a glider, and Rise of the Ronin was ass meat, so this can wash out that taste of Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Like you, I did not finish the first game. I got really sidetracked with the side missions because I found them to be really interesting and not too repetitive. So I still want to go back and finish the game eventually. Did we both started to get pretty far in the game? At least I think so.
Yeah, because
So yeah, I don't know
I
how far off we are from actually finishing it, but
I got pretty far, but one thing that I did is you get these like these Souls games where they say you have to grind for upgrades so you can beat the harder bosses, or I guess hard bosses in general because they're all hard, right?
yeah, yeah.
But when at least from so my main Souls like experience, and people are gonna say it's not, but it is Black Myth Wukong.
Hmm.
And when I grind to beat a boss, there's not much background to the side content that I'm doing. But in Ghost of Tsushima, when I'm doing the side content, helping out the side characters in their missions, or going out to find all the hot springs to increase this stat, or going to find
Hmm.
all the foxes to increase that stat, if it has a side character, there's a much more story to it that I enjoy. If it's one of those like locations, the hot bath thing or the
Hmm.
fox, it may not be a story, but it's so immersive and cinematic in the way the game looks that I enjoy doing those things to improve on my character's abilities before I continue further. And that's what I appreciate from a game like that with the, if you want to call it a grind, sure, but that's right. It's good sidetracking, it doesn't make the game any bad. It's entertaining.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited they showed something because like, really, I don't know what we haven't heard much from like the I guess like the core PlayStation, whether it's Sony Santa Monica or Sucker Punch
Hmm.
or um we were supposed to be getting something about Wolverine at some point, but who knows?
Yeah.
Insomniac has a lot of different stuff they work on. Naughty Dog, don't even I've given up on them as a
Yeah.
as a studio that makes games. But yeah, so it was kind of cool to like get something at least, and also to see Ghost of Tsushima or whatever they want to start calling the overall franchise.
The Ghost
Uh,
franchise.
yeah, I guess that it's here to stay, that like, okay, we're gonna get another one. They're still working on the movie and maybe a TV show or something. So that's cool because PlayStation, as we know, they don't have very many original games and mascots. So it's good that they're finally going to have another one. Um, but yeah, I mean that was cool. They said 2025. I don't remember a month. Uh, Graphics looked great, I guess. I mean, kind of feel like graphically we're reaching a point where it's like it's kind of hard for games to look
Right.
that much better at this point. Um, and yeah, new character, that's cool.
Mm.
I'm sure there's gonna be a bunch of people that just anytime there's a woman anywhere on the screen, they're like, "Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever." But what's cool is that you take this setting 300 years in the future. I think they already showed, or not in the future, but like 300 years beyond where the original
Right.
game took place. They already showed her using a gun, which is like
Yeah.
it's cool because you get more technology. If you kept the same main character, the second game would almost be impossible for it to not be exactly like the first game because like it's kind of like Red Dead Redemption. It's like the best comparison I could think of like if the game takes place like too close to another game in a similar historical time, then there's no difference between the games. It's just it's like, yeah, you could do a different character, but like you're
Right.
still using all the same weapons and like the location is probably around the same unless the per character goes to a totally different place in the
Right.
world. So I think the time jump is awesome. I think new character is cool. And it's kind of nice to like, you know, uh Jin Sakai was in one game. So like you don't need to pick this character and be like, all right, this is the mascot for the next 50 years.
Right.
Like you can use new characters. I mean, they tried it in Infamous. I think there were other reasons why that didn't work so well. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what this new game is going to offer. And Sucker Punch killed it with the first one, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have a
pretty
few
excited.
points I wanted to mention that you, after the stuff you mentioned, with number one, the use of a gun in the game. Rise of the Ronin also had guns in the game, so this further goes to my point of, some similarities, but obviously much superior. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you mentioned the thing about if Red Dead, you're in the same world, same weapons. Um with Last of Us and Naughty Dog, if they were to do another one, I would only be okay with another one if they didn't do the same characters, but also if they did maybe a different country, because there's a whole world that was infected by the virus, a whole world of whatever
Hmm.
catastrophe could have happened. What if there's another country that you want to see that, how they handled the virus, the outbreak? Maybe there's a country or city that handled it better and they actually are more civilized and
Hmm.
no one would know about it because communication is completely cut off from the world. They have it's right there. Like you can just think of what to do and do it because you have a whole world that you can use and they won't use it. And then you have other franchises that, they might, like, Spider-Man, of course, is going to be in New York City no matter what. They're not, you can't
Right.
put them outside
Yeah.
of New York because when they put them outside of New York, it didn't work. Wolverine, I would think that they would at least have shown something when the X-Men, craze went out with X-Men 97 and Deadpool and
Right.
Wolverine.
Right.
Um, but I am excited with the whole, new protagonist, female protagonist. Sony does have, the 30-year history of different IPs and characters, and I felt they missed the opportunity to bring back PlayStation All-Stars when we had the Nickelodeon version. There was Brawlhalla, there was
Yeah.
what is it, the Cartoon Network WB, whatever it was, Warner Brothers
Oh
one.
yeah, multiverses, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah,
multiverses.
yeah.
Nickelodeon got two of them. They had a sequel.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing. Nobody played the first one.
Yeah,
Why
and
they get
like
two?
PlayStation would have had, I made a video about that with all the different characters they got, and they have a huge roster, and I guess that can kind of transition into another IP that we got some disappointing news on, but something we expected and we knew about for a while. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Horizon.
Yep. And
Yeah.
funny thing, because they're doing the same thing with Last of Us Part 2, where you can pay $10 for the upgrade or buy a brand new copy for $50, which
Yeah.
pre-orders are available now, they said, but I also saw a posting saying pre-orders are open October 3rd. Game releases October 31st. I'm wondering why they chose Halloween as a release date. Maybe because it's scary how many remasters we're getting. But
Yeah. I mean, I will really quickly say the not that I condone this saturation of remakes or remasters or whatever the fuck they're calling them. Uh, but I will say the $10 upgrade, that is appreciated. I
yeah,
appreciate that if you own the game from when did I think it was like 2017,
I
2018.
think 17 about there, yeah.
Yeah, if you own that game, which I do, that if you want this upgraded version, which I don't know, I guess if you want to like replay through the entire game again, I don't really do that as much as I did when I was younger because these games are long as fuck.
Yeah.
But like if you want to play through the whole game again, you pay $10 and you get all the shiny bells and whistles and everything from that. That I appreciate. That being said, they showed gameplay from this quote unquote remastered version. I can't tell the difference. I can't. The Horizon is already one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like it was one of the best looking games ever when it first came out. It only looked even better on PS4 Pro and PS5, and with they made like a PS5 patch or whatever. I I have no idea why they're doing this. I don't know why they're doing this. I like the $10 upgrade thing, but I have no idea why this project exists.
Yeah. See, I no longer have the game, and I'm sure like you can find it on PSN. I mean, if you go the digital route, I've seen it for like $20 or even cheaper on sale.
Yeah.
But I am a physical game collector, so if I want to get the game, I either have to find a cheap, copy of it on Amazon, or if GameStop has a cheap copy somewhere, or pony up and buy this, new one. But I hate when they say like, oh, whether you buy the new one, the new release or the $10 upgrade, you're gonna have these enhancements, which is just some slight visual improvements and the haptic feedbacks on the controller. That is a very challenging game, not because the game is hard itself, but the combat wasn't as intuitive as the sequels, and the checkpoint system was dog
Mm,
shit. So if you're not going to improve on that aspect, I would have rather you did a ground up remake like Last of Us 1 and it made improvements to the game overall, but it still would have been a ridiculous thing to do since the game is backwards compatible. It was it's on PSN, I think it's on Plus or something like that.
mm,
Um but again, the visuals don't look that much better than it was on PS4. Maybe like slightly, a little bit, sure, but the Lego game that they're releasing is supposed to recap the first game just in Lego form and, shorter. So that's also kind
right.
of a funny thing of you can, get the Lego one for your kids and then get this one for you. But I love Aloy. I love the franchise of Horizon. I haven't got the VR game because it's $60 and it's a tech demo.
Right,
I
yeah.
couldn't beat the first game. I bought a figure of Aloy from Amazon. They have this new PlayStation figure thing.
Oh, yeah, those look pretty cool.
And I love the second game so much because it was a digital copy included with the PS5. But I love that
Right.
game so much that I went on eBay and bought a steelbook for it. And I
Damn.
paid extra for the steelbook. I paid like $40 for it. Um,
Respect.
and
Respect.
I want to see them do more with it, but it follows the same thing as Last of Us, where this is a post-apocalypse. There's a whole world of characters and events they can focus on other people too. Maybe they will in the future, but they did say once they went to like what 15 projects with this franchise.
Yeah.
How are you gonna do that? Are you talking about Netflix animes and movies, which they canceled? What it was like a TV show or a movie that they were gonna do and they canceled it. Netflix should just do an animated show. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah,
did
yeah.
Terminator, they're doing Tomb Raider, they did Castlevania, they did Cyberpunk. What's that one you love? League of Legends, uh what's that show called?
Oh, Arcane.
Arcane. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can do it. But I don't want to be part of the problem and say I might have to buy the remaster when it comes out end of October, but I don't have a copy of it now, and if I don't find a copy, I might I mean, I'm a game reviewer, so
Sure.
it's part of the job, but
Yeah, yeah. You know what it is? It's like I don't I re honestly don't have a problem with anyone who buys this remaster. It's more that like okay, I just looked this up because I was curious. I remember someone mentioning this as a point, but like the first Uncharted game came out in 2007.
Mhm,
Between 2007 and 2011, Naughty Dog released all three Uncharted games, like the original three on
mhm,
PS3, over 4 years. Like now, I understand that games are bigger now; they're more complicated to develop. The hardware, the software, everything's more challenging and more expensive. But why are we spending our time and resources going backwards? Why were they not working on Horizon 3? Or like, why were they not? Why are we spending any resources on a game that already has a PS5 patch?
mhm.
It already runs at 60 FPS. Either it's 4K or it's 1440, whatever. You really can barely tell the difference unless
Right.
you have like perfect eyesight.
Which I sure
Uh,
as shit don't.
right. So like, I just can't help but feel like why we're going backwards. Like I look at these other, past timelines of games, like the Arkham series, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. They even they made a fourth game in between there, Arkham Origins or whatever. Like it used to be very much like everything was moving forward. Everything was always like sequel, sequel. And like why are we if Horizon is this, popular new IP franchise, why are we going back to the first game? Like, I think this is also now I'm starting to get a little worried about Ghost of Tsushima because
Mhm.
I can't help but feel like this is becoming a bit of a pattern. And in, 2 to 3 years, would it really surprise you if PlayStation announced a Ghost of Tsushima remaster from the ground up for PS6?
Oh, I
And
wouldn't
we
be
would be
surprised at
like,
all.
Why are you doing this? Like that game already looks and plays amazing. It doesn't need a like what are you remastering? What are you I think
Right.
that's what's frustrating. It's like it feels like we're spending resources on going backwards when it's like you can't just put that money into Horizon 3 and Horizon 4 and like spin-off games and you know, the first
So
one looked amazing. I don't
let me ask you
understand.
this. When Naughty Dog did Last of Us Part 1, would you have rather, if you had to choose a game that had to like be remastered from the ground up, would you have rather taken the first three Uncharted games as a ground up remake? Because I would. I would
Oh,
take
a
that.
thousand percent.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
And it's
well, especially the first Uncharted game is like weirdly ignored in terms of like it's so outdated. It looks so
mm-hmm.
bad. And like the second Uncharted game looks pretty good and is just gameplay and like story-wise like one of the best games that I've ever played. But like the first like Uncharted game, I didn't even beat that game. Like it was okay. It could really use like a present day, graphics
Right.
overhaul and like gameplay tweaks and whatnot and that would have made
Because that's
sense
the
because
that was uses the motion controls too.
yeah, like that would have made sense because you look at that game, if you just look at it, you're like, oh,
Right.
that could use a bump in graphics. But like Last of Us looked pretty good. I mean, I know it was like 2013 or whatever it was, but the, ground up remake didn't look that much better.
Hmm.
Like it
It really
looked
didn't. I
it
don't
it did look
understand.
better, but it didn't look like, oh, this is what you spent the last, this is why you're not making Last of Us 3 is
Right.
because you've been like
Like
working on this.
people will say all over YouTube, "Oh my God, it looks so amazing." I'm like, it really doesn't. Like it
I
really
think,
don't.
yeah, this what's becoming my issue is like, why are we not moving forward? Like, why are we what is this fixation with like remastering games, whether they need it or not? Like, as much as I love
Right.
the Uncharted franchise, give me Uncharted 5.
But get
I
this.
would I would much rather have Uncharted 5 than go back and re spend a shitload of money making the first game look good.
Yeah, but
Like,
get this though, because I would like to see them do the first three as a remake, but they would probably do just the first one ground up and then make you pay $70 and then do it again for the second one ground up.
oh, for
But
sure.
then
For
like
sure.
there was these two announcements. I don't remember what they were called, and they said like these games were heavily inspired by some PS1 games. So why not bring back some PS1 games? Those I would take. PS1
Yeah.
and PS2, I would take those games as a remake 100% because why is Dino Crisis being a PS Plus classic catalog game add-on if you have the premium and not a Capcom remake? And the only thing I heard was Capcom saying that they don't want to do a Dino Crisis remake because it'll compete with Monster Hunter, but they're two completely different games in every aspect, and
Mhm.
I don't think it would compete, but I'm sure people would be excited to see a Dino Crisis remake. But it also the opposite is yes, we should be moving forward. We do have IPs that Sony has the licensing to. Everyone wants a Bloodborne sequel for whatever fucking reason. I really don't understand the hype, but they have that. They have Sly Cooper can get a sequel. Jack and Daxter can get a sequel. They have some type of Marvel licensing, so we are getting Wolverine. Yes. We have a Ghost sequel with a new character. Cool. Um, if they want to do another Last of Us, it cannot be Ellie or Abby or whatever. It has to be someone brand new, or get some creativity and make new IPs in general. I mean, Returnal was a new IP and it was great. I never beaten it, but you did
Oh,
beat it.
so good. Dude,
Um,
there was a game that they showed early on in this state of play that I almost thought was a new Housemarque game because it was giving like Returnal uh
right.
vibes, but yeah, I don't know. It's a little, I mean, maybe I don't know if you feel this way, but it feels like PlayStation is a little directionless right now.
Hmm.
Like we're getting a Ghost sequel, but like I'm thinking back and I'm like, okay, is that is there any other sequel to any of these franchises that being worked on right now? Like
Well,
like
funny thing. October, we're getting Until Dawn remaster or whatever, Silent Hill
oh my
2
God.
remake, and now Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. So all the three Sony games for October are a remake or a remaster. It's
Dude,
not
I
new.
even I even thought just now I was thinking about Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, well we did get Spider-Man 2 And I was like, wait, in between that game coming out, they went back and remastered the first one.
Yep.
It's like,
And they had the little side Miles Morales game. Uncharted did
what?
something similar, right? Didn't they have part four? Then they had Lost Legacy, right?
Yeah, they had the DLC.
And then they put the both in a pack together.
Yeah.
Um, other things too, like Stellar Blade is now getting the photo mode now,
Yeah, like what?
and the
In, was that
near,
5 months later?
yeah, the Near Automata DLC crossover. I think it's just the costume and music, cool. It better be free.
Yeah,
I'm not
why
paying
were
for
they
it now.
being so I don't know. They were being kind of cagey about what the crossover was. Because like
Right.
the way they presented it almost seemed like they were adding a like a story part to the game, or like an actual crossover. But like, yeah, like you said, I mean, it's probably just a alternate costume.
Yeah.
Like, why not just say that? Like, why are I don't know. It's yeah,
It's definitely be in
it's
that
hard to
game.
figure out.
I forget
I
that I have it. Because they tell you, and this is a spoiler warning for anyone who never played it or hasn't been in it, but they say you have to unlock all the outfits before the final part of the game. Otherwise, you are locked out of those outfits until you do a new game plus. And it's a problem because there are some
uh
outfits that have a different color that you can unlock for new game plus. So if one of those costumes fall in that category, you would have to replay the game 3 times if you missed them the first time around. And I'm stuck on a stupid fishing minigame that I have to finish to get like one of the costumes unlocked. And I'm like, at this point, am I really gonna put the time in to do it now? It's been so long.
mm,
Maybe eventually down the road.
mhm.
But we are in the 30th anniversary of PlayStation, and I'm actually playing some PS1 games right now for reviews. I'm doing Ape Escape and the first Siphon Filter, which I was actually working on them a while back, and I guess I deleted all the footage and got bored and deleted the games, and now starting over from scratch. But it goes back to the if you're gonna remake some stuff, where's the old stuff that should be remade? Why are we getting Until Dawn and Silent Hill 2, which I'm excited for, don't get me wrong. I am excited for Silent Hill.
Sure. Yeah.
But Horizon, really, do we need that? Other announcements we got today was Power World. I guess you can play it as long as until the lawsuit is done with Nintendo and
Yeah,
uh,
funny point on that is apparently it has, I mean, during that presentation they said it's going to be released on PS5 today.
mhm.
And then I saw a little while ago that it will not be on PS5 in Japan at the moment, which
Wow.
makes sense given
Yeah, who
I don't think Sony wants to get into any sticky situations over there with the Nintendo overlords. But also, I don't know. I mean, Pal World hype to me seems like it's kind of dead.
Mhm.
This would maybe that would have been big news. Like, what was Pal World? Like March, April? Um,
Was it this year?
yeah, yeah, I think.
It's been a long year.
I know it has been a long. Like if this had happened like whenever Pal World came out, if this had happened like a month or two later, it probably would have still been pretty hyped up. But like Pal World, I don't know. It feels like that the ship has sailed. Everybody played it, everybody moved on.
Yeah.
So that, I will say, there were some, at least for me personally, some cool things for PlayStation Plus this month. They're adding The Last of Us. Speaking of all these remasters, they're adding The Last of Us remake from the ground up for PS5, part one to PlayStation Plus, this week.
That
So that's cool.
reminds
I
me.
mean, I that game's depressing as fuck. So even though it was exciting to see the announcement, I was like, am I really gonna play this again? I don't know. And they're adding WWE 2K to PS Plus in October, which is a game that I constantly threatening to buy, and now it's going to be on Plus, so that at least for a little while, so that's cool.
Yeah. See, and it's the thing about like buying games, anymore because I bought 2K a while back. I forgot what pay-per-view they had or what they call them now, live events.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was on sale when I bought it, but then I played it like twice and did like one match and never played it again and I sold it. Now it's
yeah.
on Plus. But I saw some rumor that next month is also, I think, the 1 year anniversary of Spider-Man 2.
Oh.
So there's a possibility that that will also be on that plus tier. So
Mhm.
it's like you can buy games at release and spend money, or you can just wait a year and you'll get it on plus if you pay for the subscription. But
Yeah.
um
There's a decent amount of games that like I remember thinking about buying
mhm.
only to then just accidentally wait long enough, like Sifu. And I totally forgot that it was even on Plus and that I downloaded it. And I was like, oh shit, I own this game. I had
And we still
no
haven't played
idea.
was it Evil West?
Yeah, Evil
Yeah, we
West,
still
another
haven't
one of
played
mine.
it. We got to try that. I
Yeah.
mean, we're so late with it, but we still have to try it. And I mean, I will say, although they are kind of screwing up now, Sony, and they're slipping and everything, they're still surprisingly, I think, doing better than Xbox because games from Xbox are coming to PlayStation, and they still got some VR games releasing. They only showed like one VR game, I think, and I was like, oh, that's it, just one. You don't have any more. I have a VR headset now, and I don't really use it as
Oh,
much.
that's funny because I gotta be honest, anytime I see them cut to a VR game announcement, I zone out. I like don't care.
But if they're bringing
I've
in
instant like that's the easiest way to get me uninterested is I see the little VR logo and I'm like, never mind.
But what they could
I don't
do,
want to
and
play.
I had this idea before, but it's like Facebook has the exclusive rights to the Batman Arkham VR game. So they could make a Spider-Man VR game, and that'd be
Yeah, that'd
freaking
be kind of
awesome.
cool.
Make a
That'd be kind of
Wolverine
cool.
VR game where you can use the claws as your motion, your hands. That'd
Killing
be
people
that'd
in
be
the as
awesome.
Wolverine.
That'd be freaking awesome. And that would give me more use of my headset. But
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of these other side games that I don't really care about, like the Dragon Quest game and the other one. What was the other one they announced or showed? Monster Hunter. I'm like 50-50 on it. Like I enjoyed the last one when it was on Switch. I had no one to play with, and then after that, I didn't really care. Dynasty Warriors looks god awful in their presentation.
Yeah.
Um,
That looked a little rough.
there was rumors of a Days Gone remastered. We didn't get that yet, but I don't think that we will get that because it didn't succeed as much as these other games that got the remaster.
Right. It
And
didn't sell well. Like, why would they remaster a game that already didn't sell well?
And I think they wanted the guy to do more, but because the guy who made the game and because it didn't sell very well, he wasn't going to do any more work with it and was like, well, if you love a game, you should have bought it. It's like no one knew that they were going to love it because your marketing
Right.
was shit. And I still haven't played it, but a lot of people love it, and I have it on my library. It's downloaded, ready to go. It's just I need the motivation to play it,
Yeah.
and I have so many games in my backlog. I haven't beaten Ghost of Tsushima. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I have to go back
Same.
to. And they did say the third one of that trilogy for seven is already like paid for and ready to go through production. But the second one is still selling poorly compared to the first one. So they are concerned about the third one. But it's that argument where people say, oh, you can buy a PS5, but you have no games to play, which is complete bullshit. If you take PS4 games that are remastered for PS5 or have the PS5 update or PS5 games that were released, there's literally an arsenal of games you can play. Final Fantasy VII, both of them. Final Fantasy 16, God of War Ragnarok 2018, Spider-Man PS4 remastered, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, Returnal, Last of Us 1, 2. You have Horizon Forbidden West. You have Kena Bridge of Spirits was a PS5 game
Yeah,
exclusive
Ratchet
originally.
and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank, Gran
Yeah.
Turismo. You have the Uncharted collection. You have Sackboy, Astrobot. You have an arsenal of games to
Yeah.
play on PS5. So
First
anyone
Astro Bot game comes for free on the
Yeah,
PS5.
you get two Astro Bot games. So anyone says they don't have any games, they're full of shit. And I'm tired of hearing people say it. If you want to buy Rise of the Ronin, there's Rise of the Ronin. You have Ghost of Tsushima and their sequel. You have a few more coming out with yes, they're remasters and remakes, but you still have Until Dawn, Silent Hill 2, Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. So there is an arsenal of games you can play on PS5.
Tons.
And if you don't like
Tons.
any of those games, then you're not a gamer. You don't like gaming at all. There's literally all those different genres. Oh,
Right, like you can only
Helldivers.
be given so many options before it's like, all right,
Right.
so you just
Yeah.
don't like playing video
You have
games.
Helldivers, you have
Right,
so
like what the
much.
fuck?
Stellar Blade, yeah,
Right,
there's so much to
so just go do
play.
something else then, because you just don't like playing
Yeah,
video games.
go read a book, basically.
Right, like find a different hobby. Find a different hobby.
But there's I get that Sony is doing some things wrong. Like we don't get any faceplates for the base PS5 anymore. So now
Yeah,
if I
now that's
want,
bullshit.
yeah,
We could do a whole separate episode on how they're fucking the people that bought the original PS5, which is crazy to go back and remember all the
right.
bullshit people went through to get a base PS5 and to
Yeah.
now all of a sudden be like, no more face plates, none of that none of it's gonna work on the
Yeah.
one that you have.
Like it's crazy. So, that's a whole thing. But we got about 3 minutes left before the
Yeah.
recording is over. Any
Now,
final thoughts?
I did have a question for you. Yeah.
Okay.
So this was, I thought, kind of typical average state of play. The Ghost announcement was nice, but it's not coming out for a while. I think we know with video games these days, like 2025, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Do you think they need one more event this year, like an actual showcase to talk about, some of the games that we think are out there, whether it's like another God of War or Spider-Man 3 or Wolverine or another Ratchet and Clank or, some other
Yeah.
sequel, something? Do you think they need, because they got the Pro coming out in November, I think.
Mm-hmm. November.
Uh,
Yeah.
do you think, I kind of thought maybe this would sort of convince me like, oh, there's some stuff that maybe I do want the, newer console for now that I can fucking afford it. Like it's really
Right.
expensive, but like something to convince me. Do you think they need another presentation in like October or November to be like, oh, okay, now I'm excited, or was this good enough for you?
No, I think they need one more that will hype up. If it's not to hype up PS5 Pro stuff, which they shouldn't, because no one's gonna buy it except for scalpers and tube YouTuber, whatever.
Right, yeah.
But if they hype up 2025 releases, then you have to show more Ghost details. You have to show
Mm,
Wolverine. You have to show Spider-Man. It's supposedly the Spider-Man 2 DLC with Carnage, which I'm like, why would they waste Carnage on a deal? I mean, they might waste it on a DLC. They might save it for part three. No idea,
mm,
but they have to show that something like that. Because what else is coming up for 2025 that I can't even think of anything else that's released in 2025. But you'd have to show something from Naughty Dog, something from Insomniac, something from I guess more for Ghost and Santa Monica. I've said this before. I don't know if I said it on podcast or in my channel or to you guys, but you and Frankie, but I felt God of War, this new whatever they want to call it, reboot, should have been a trilogy, not two games. I have some thoughts about Ragnarok that
mm,
I'll go into later, but it should have been a trilogy, and we could have gotten a third game with the actual Ragnarok being the third game. But
mm,
there's been rumors about either an Atreus spinoff, which I don't know if I want that. Um, there's talks about a third another game in a different region, whether it's like Celtic mythology or Egyptian mythology, but it's like we need one more for these major
yeah.
developers for Sony. But
One more big franchise announcement,
yeah,
even like a Horizon 3 or a new Uncharted game or something. Because, like, yeah, the PS5 Pro, I'm telling you right now, man, it's looking pretty useless. Pretty
yeah.
fucking useless.
And
Yeah.
and that's gonna be it for today. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Three Amigos Podcast, and we'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.
Peace.